Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics. We have overcome minor technical difficulties to get my dear friend Shawn Khunkhun of Dolly, Varden Silver live, bringing you the action in the silver world today. And Shawn, welcome on in. How are you today? How's it going?
Chris, I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it sure is a pleasure to have you on, as I've gone on record multiple times saying that you are one of the smartest people I've met since I have been doing the show in the silver space, and I will swear an oath and uphold and maintain that, unlike the CFTC that sees things otherwise, but I won't get carried away here. But as we're looking at today's silver chart, I'm curious what thoughts you have. You get to obviously see this from a whole different perspective that most don't in terms of the supply side. You've followed these markets. I mean, we have more. They just dished out another 2 trillion the other day. I think that you have World War III going on behind the scenes, and we're getting close to the point where the paper gets overwhelmed. But what do you think is happening?
For me, Chris, I just celebrate the fact that we're over $26 right now. A year ago, we were about $10 lower per ounce. We've had a significant move over the last 12 months. We're digesting the move, and I've just got a lot of confidence. To me, my experience in history has told me that gold leads silver, and then silver outperforms. And gold has already shown us the path, and so the future is very, very bright. And if you look at a historical context, I can't wait for us to blow through the 1980 high, the 2011 high. But for me, listen, this is let's have the alligator approach, the crocodile approach. Let's wait, and let's be selective, and then let's pounce. And I came back to silver in a very big way in 2018. So I was early, but I came back to gold in 2014. So just a little bit of history here. So I got into the gold business in the early 2000s. I rode a big gold wave, from hundreds to $2,000 an ounce. Then I jumped onto the silver movement, and in 6 months, I had some of the best performing equities in my life. And when I came back to gold in 2014, and again, I was early before the bottom. But in 2018, when I positioned myself in silver, what I'm seeing play out here today, and this is fantastic. Silver has cut the gold to silver ratio in half. We've gone from 120 down to 65. It's going to close the gap, Chris. So, I actually like the silver action. I think silver looks really, really strong. And, I just keep my head down, and I'm focused on building a silver business. And, if I do what the market gives me. If the price is low, I try to get more silver. If the price goes parabolic, we'll take the right steps in the place to ensure that the business is viable over a long term.
Shawn, I love how I was taking a sip from my Got Silver coffee mug while you were saying you get silver when the price is down. So it's like you already answered my next question.
That reminds me, Chris, like I've got like all these goodies that you've sent me. I've got all these goodies, but one of the things I don't have is my Got Silver mug and my sweatshirt, Chris. So this is just a friendly reminder.
Yeah, well, hopefully Yara is listening in the live chat and can
I was
check
hoping
in on that. I do owe a lot of people some Got Silver merch. That part is true. We also owe some silver ounces. It takes a little while to get out there, but I'm going to write another note on that one. So
Chris, I want you and Nibbles to personally deliver the Got Silver swag.
Yeah, well, you figure out the right border official where I could just name drop. I'm like, when I get to the border with my dog and a couple guitars, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" Like, well, I know Shawn K from Dolly. I know this. I'll just tell him I know a guy who knows where all this silver is, and I'm sure they'll let me through without, needing to get any microchips inserted or whatever else they're doing at the border these days. And yes, we will get you that got silver gear. Well, there's Shawn. Let's leave aside Dolly Varden for a moment. I understand a lot of people when they have someone's talking about their company, all right. So, but forget anything about your own company for a second, but just give 30-second background of the things you've done so we understand your expertise. And then I want to dig into how you are approaching your own investments aside from Dolly Varden as we go forward here.
Okay. I think the best way to describe, my skill set is I've kind of put gas in the tank, right? So, my career started in the early 2000s. I helped get a gold project off the ground. So we took an idea from inception, and we took a company to about $1.5 billion valuation. And how we did that was by drilling out a multi-million ounce high-grade gold resource in Canada and then taking it into production. So what I learned in that experience was how to build teams, how to raise capital, how to market companies, and really how to create wealth. Most importantly, how to create wealth for not only shareholders but also stakeholders. And I guess that's what I bring to my business. But really, it's all about the team that I surround myself with. Like, if you look at, I've got some of the best technical minds. Like, I'm a big believer, Chris, that science creates wealth, and not just in mining. In every sector, and it's allowing those scientists to unlock the wealth.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And with that said, now you're not giving legal financial advice, but when you take that whole background, factor in where we are now, how do you approach with your own investments? What are you doing?
Well, I think I remember I went out to Toronto back in 2014 with a business partner, and we went up to one of the top floors and one of the top towers, and we met with one of the big bankers. And 7 years ago, I was in my early 30s, and I had about 10 years of experience under my belt. So I went into this gentleman's office, and he described his situation. He said, guys, there are bags of money on the ground. All you have to do is just pick them. And I thought, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me, but I think about that a lot. And when I go out and I look around, I actually do see these big opportunities where you get certain companies trading at certain values and others trading at big valuations, and so I think there's just tremendous opportunities. So what I like to do with my own money is I like to try to look for assets, and I don't want to get too complicated here, but in the mining business, I like to think of an enterprise value per ounce. So I like to put a value on the number of silver ounces you have in the ground. And the trouble, though, is it's not that simple, because not all ounces are equal. You might have the best project in the world, but it's on Mars, or it's in Chris's backyard, and Chris doesn't want that silver taken out of his backyard, right? So
Nibbles is always digging. You never know where he's leaving stuff.
You got Nibbles as a guard dog, not letting you get to that silver. So it's about enterprise value per ounce, but you have to have all the other things. Like, you have to have social license. The community's got to want it. The metallurgy. Can you separate the silver out of the rocks? Like, there's so many factors. And then if you also try to factor in timing your dilution for shareholders in a bull market for silver, so that you're not you could have the best business in the world, but if your timing's wrong, it's not going to be as profitable for your investors. So, I think if you put your head down, you work hard, you learn from your mistakes, and you stay open to making new ones, you put that all together, and you could be successful. And then I think the great thing is, once you have a little bit of success, is I like to say, if you push the bet, and you could really turn it into something pretty magical. So that's my philosophy. There is, just like whether it's sports or entertainment, there's the next star that's about to be born or the next great athlete. So the market's not interested in Michael Jordan. The market's not even interested in LeBron James. The market wants the next LeBron James, and that's the same thing when it comes to silver companies. And I think specifically for silver, Chris, silver companies out of desperation went out and became precious metals companies for the last 10 years. All the big silver companies went out and they bought a lot of gold. They bought some zinc assets. And what I'd love to see is a real pure silver play. And because I believe that silver is going to be the best performing metal.
Shawn, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you got frozen there for a second, right when you said what you'd love to see, and then it was like a cliffhanger. We skipped that part. Can you take it back a second there?
Hey, didn't we talk about that before this call started? We talked about those moments where calls get interrupted or dropped, just as big things are, and maybe they're not supposed to. But maybe we'll just leave it at that.
Well, I'll comment if you want to give any further clarity, because what I see in this chart here is the same thing that I read about yesterday in Jerome Smith, Silver Profits for the 80s, where he talked about how there were a bunch of banks that were short back then. I mean, we've heard a little bit about the Hunt brothers, but as I'm reading it, it's stunning. It's the same tricks back then. This looks to me, these big divots that we see all the time, someone's getting stopped out of there. And the reason that I think this is happening is that there's a lot of people who are short, and it kind of looks like what you don't know for sure, but at least it looks like what I would expect if people were really short and they were concerned, because at some point, let's forget about the timing for a second. Hey, maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's a couple of years from now, but we can see where this is headed. This system is breaking down, and I think it's not an accident that people are buying gold and silver. And when we look at what's happening here, it seems like they're throwing the kitchen sink in, because for whatever reason, you got to be able to see. It seems like the handwriting is on the wall.
Chris, you are the authority on this, and this is, you're like a detective, you've got the magnifying glass out, you're solving the murder, this is the crime scene, and you are, you're the best at this. Can you zoom out and give me a longer term chart? Can we go 5 years, 10 years, even a year? Can we look at something that's not the last 72 hours?
We sure can. What would you like, sir? You got your whole range of options. How about
years. Let's go 10 years to start.
How about I give you the 20-year for now, and if you want to zoom into a particular year, we can do that.
Sure. So for me, I'm more interested in this, because this tells me, and if we were to put this into a greater historical context, and we looked at other metals, and again, I've got a bias to silver, because I think silver is the uniquest metal on the planet, because not only is there an industrial use, but it's also money, and you can't. It's the purest, rarest metal in the world in that regard. But what I would, if we threw up zinc and oil and gold and every other asset class, we could throw real estate in there, fine art, diamonds, everything is a lot higher. Simply put, everything is a lot higher today. But if we stretch this back out and we went back 40 years, silver hasn't taken out the old high. And it's not about the hunts taking it too far, because it went up there again in 2011, right? So that's not the narrative. And if you look at the above ground stockpiles, you look at annual production, Chris, I've got nothing against crypto, nothing against Bitcoin, right? But I was thinking about it. If 2% of crypto money came out of Bitcoin and came into silver, that would be mine supply, 2%. That would be mine supply for a year. And that would be like half of the above ground inventories. So it's when it happens, it's people are going to go, oh, how did that happen? Oh, that happened overnight, but it's going to happen like that. It's going to happen in hours, not days, not weeks, not months. This setup, like it's telegraphed, we are going to a new high in silver. I just can't put a calendar on it. And my experience has been, I can never put a calendar on it, but it always goes way farther than I've ever imagined. I remember we were putting inflation adjusted gold charts together back in the 2000s, and we were walking around, gold was like $400 an ounce. And we were telling guys, look, it's going to 1600. Gold is going, and we were laughed out of rooms. 16, my grandparents or my grandchildren's children won't see $500 gold is what they tell us. Okay. And now I'm not saying anything bold by saying silver is going to put in a new high. It, I know it. It's just, trying to put a calendar on it. I won't do it. We'll just keep adding and adding and adding, whether it's through ounces in companies or whether it's physical stacking, as long as the market gives it to me. And that's the mentality we have to take. We have to move away from this mentality where, this scarcity mentality where, higher prices attracts more volume. We need to be thinking as contrarians and be buying something for its fundamentals when it's unloved. And then when the masses come in, if we want to, divest some of it, we do that, right? So there's a simple formula here, Chris. And but I think this next run on silver, I think it's going to even exceed our wildest expectations. And I'm excited and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I think so. And I like how you take a step back there, and it's, when you can see the bigger picture, I find that helps to make the decisions easier, because I hear obviously all day, people, at the end of the day, people are confused. They bought silver and gold in 2010 when they saw Bernanke was going to go nuts, and he did. And the Fed's never slowed down. And when the price came down, a lot of people sold or got confused or gave up. But I love what you pointed out, that when you take a step back, I think there's some shadiness there, but on the bigger picture, it doesn't matter.
I would ask people to look at their own lives, okay, and whatever they're really into, whether it's hiking or whether it's whatever you're into. Okay, look at that and look at the amount of hours you put into that, and you've got to keep refining your craft on a daily basis. And I think here we've all been rewarded. Silver was the best performing, or one of the best performing metals in 2020, right? But also, if we examine 2020, a year ago today, Chris, that was a pretty gnarly time when silver on the paper market was sold down to under $12 an ounce. Like that was a moment. But the people that have had the experience took that opportunity. Now, unfortunately, when I tried to take that opportunity and I went out and got some physical in that moment, I didn't pay $12. I paid a lot more than $12. So I don't know who was getting silver at $12, but it wasn't me.
I remember you talked about that on the show last year.
Yeah. And so listen, I think that I love the work you're doing, because we need somebody who is, looking at the crime scene and saying, this is wrong, and this is why, and this is how. But for me, I'm just watching the bodies mount up, and I'm more interested in, what are the most dangerous cities of the world and how do I avoid them? But in this case, when it comes to silver, I can't wait. The future is bright. The product is scarce. There is no silver. There really isn't. I'm seeing it firsthand. When I try to go out and as an investor or corporately look for opportunities, a good silver mine is very, 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 very rare.
Shawn, before we wrap up, maybe you could just touch on that a little bit more, because at least when I think of what you do, it's like I think of you as a portfolio manager of silver projects for Dolly Varden. So, yeah, I want to have assets that have leverage to silver. I'm not a geologist. I haven't been doing that for 30 years. So essentially, on some level, I want to hire someone who fills that role in the same way, rather than hiring a hedge fund that's mixing a basket of stocks. So given that background you have at Dolly, and that you're sifting through these opportunities, you mentioned it a little bit there, but let's say that, people want to go out and start a silver company. Is there stuff to buy? How hard is it to find? Can you put that in context for people?
Sure. Well, if something's really good, um, you're going to have to overpay to buy it, right? And so, the things that are available, it's very, very difficult to find something very good, and it's just a certain set of circumstances that leads to that opportunity. In the mining business, what we're seeing a big shift of is sort of the gray hair managers, the 60, 70-year-olds, are they don't have the same energy levels, or they want to enjoy other things, right? They don't have that same drive. So one of the opportunities that I have is, I've got a lot of fight in me, right? And I love this stuff. So that one of the opportunities there is just where our team is willing to do the work, right? And so that's a big opportunity. But to answer your question, if somebody was out there trying to start a silver company, I think they'd find it very, very, very difficult to put together high quality ounces. I think it'd be a challenging venture to go on, and because there's a lot of booby traps out there. There's a lot of things that look really good on paper, and then once you get out to the real world, it's very different. So having, you're a detective that's on to the silver manipulation. I've got mining detectives who can get out to a project and say, depending upon the way an ore body is situated, where it's situated, the dip of the ore body, the mining methods we're going to use, if it's going to work, and at what cost. So, we're interested in the highest grade projects in the safest places, that have the lowest capital expenditures to get them into production. So we've got a very, 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 very high bar at Dolly in terms of the types of projects we're going to try to develop and organically grow and acquire. When you think of me as a portfolio manager, I just think of myself as a steward for the shareholders. Whether it's the treasury, the currency, the dilution. When I get up, I go to work for people like Eric Sprott and Hecla and my big shareholders, because I have a duty to them to bring them. I have a fiduciary responsibility to them, and to grow this company in the right way. And you know what, we've done a good job. In a year, our market caps increased fivefold. Our treasuries, increased 10x. Our liquidity has gone from $20,000 a day to 500. We've and that was year one, right? And now that we've got a little bit of wind at our backs, I'm really excited about the next 12 months.
Well, Shawn, I appreciate that. And perhaps you could just let folks know, if they do have questions, they want to get the detailed presentation or find out more about what you guys are doing at Dolly. Can you just let them know the website and how they can follow up with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's dollyvardensilver.com. And you know what? I invite anybody to email me, sk@dollyvardensilver.com. We've got all of our contact information. You can call us. We love. I had somebody call me on Sunday night, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd answer your phone." And I said, "Really? You can call me anytime. Call me Sunday night. Call me anytime. I love what we're doing here. I love I love talking about Dolly Varden, and I love talking about silver and other investments. So, this is a passion, and so, please reach out, please visit us, please follow us, at Silver Varden on Twitter. Chris, thank you so much for an opportunity to come chat with you. I can't wait to see you in Nibbles, and I can't wait to be rocking my Got Silver sweatshirt, medium, and my I upgraded coffee mug, and yeah, I look forward to it all.
Wow, with these banter skills, I mean, maybe I'll let you host the show while I get up there. We're looking for some additional hosts to fill in from time to time, Shawn. So I like
My guest host, Chris.
Yeah, the upgraded wittiness is very nice. And yes, I will look forward to getting up there with a medium sweatshirt. But Shawn, I guess just in wrapping up, I love everything you said, but in particular that you said that you do this because you have a passion for it. Hey, I don't know what other people, how well they know you're what they think, but that's one of the things that I love and have admired about you since we met, because it's the same way, like for me, doing the show is fun. I get to talk about something I love. And I think that's what is changing a lot of these things, where it's like the Wall Street Silver guys, they're doing what they love, but everybody's doing their role. And I think that makes a really big impact, and just appreciate you sharing everything that you offered here today.
Well, I think there's a lot of peers that I have that, they're not here for the love or the passion of the metal. And I think that the decisions they make in the business, reflect that. So you've got some sponsors and some guests that have that same passion and are aligned. I think of David Stein, I think of Keith Newmeyer, and I fall more in their category than just the those who are out there, not with a passion for the metal.
Well, I appreciate that, Shawn, and we'll look forward to checking back in with you soon. Keep us posted if there's any news. You're becoming one of our mining stock analysts, so anything we should know about, check back in, and we will have you back on. And
Can I draw your attention? So about a month ago, we put out go look at this drill hole that we put out. And I just want one thing I want to say about it. It's look at how wide this ore body is. And this is like anybody who's in the mining business would appreciate, grade, and this is when we lay out our core, this ore body goes on for tables. So it is a juicy, rich, wide ore body, the type of ore body one would love to mine. So I'll leave you with that.
Well, Shawn, I appreciate that, sir. And we'll check back in soon.
Okay, Chris, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, folks at home. We'll see you soon.